Hello, everybody. Katie Reines, your plant-based dietitian, is here. I'm with Cara and two other incredible nutrition bosses joining me today. We're talking about emotional wounds versus physical healing when it comes to food and which is more important to heal first. These women are incredible. I'm so excited to be in this call today, educating you. And yeah, a little bit really quickly about myself. I am a registered dietitian. I have a master's in human nutrition. And lately I've been super stoked on intuitive eating and really helping people, uncover what's emotionally going on in their lives versus just focusing on the food. Because I've discovered in my own practice that there's a lot more to just nutrition and eating for physical health. And these ladies have helped me bring that into my practice as well. So yeah, let's all introduce ourselves.
Awesome. My name's Bree. I am Simple Healthy Eats on Instagram. I really help women find the practice of food freedom for themselves. So I work with people recovering from eating disorders, and I'm a holistic health coach. So we'll work one-on-one or really just go over the steps to healing your relationship with food. So we're really bringing in that emotional and physical connection between food because, it's all about your entire self when it comes to doing anything successfully. So really bringing that all together to create a practice that really makes you healthy and happy so that you have both.
Boom. Hey guys, my name is Tristan. I'm Honest to Goodness Health on Instagram, and my business, which is nutrition and health consulting business, is Honest to Goodness Health as well. I have a master's in nutrition, and I'm also a certified health coach. And my work is primarily based around empowering women through physical, mental, and emotional overall empowerment. So I love to work with people on being more vulnerable in day-to-day. I love to work with people on addressing chronic health conditions like hypothyroidism, adrenal fatigue, digestive issues from a holistic standpoint, using food as medicine. And I'm super excited to be a part of this incredible conversation today.
Yay. Hi guys, my name is Cara. I am a holistic health coach. I predominantly work with women on healing their relationships with food so they feel really empowered by their food choices as opposed to controlled by them. I am a holistic health coach. Did I say that? I think I said that. And I'm Cara's Kitchen on Instagram, and that is my business and my website. And I'm stoked to be here. This is I could talk about this all day. So
Yay. Yeah, so let's talk about it. Today we were just opening up the box as far as really healing your emotional situation and your coping mechanisms first rather than trying to diet, because it's true, you can go to a doctor's office feeling you have high cholesterol, you have these health issues, and your doctor's going to tell you to go on a diet, when in reality, what's the cause of this weight gain? Is it due to your inability to sit with your discomfort or your coping mechanisms, your traumas in the past, reaching for something? And even one of my messages that I really want to share with you today is that you can certainly learn a lot about how to eat really clean and eat really healthy and still be binging out on these healthier foods and just be up in your head about it and feeling you're not really healthy mentally. And at this point in my practice, I've discovered that mental health is just as important as, the kale salad that you're eating. I'd rather have you eat a variety of foods and be mentally okay with it. And that'll help in the long run to feel so free in your body and so excited and really able to help heal that disease.
Mm-hmm.
I want to chime in about that.
Yeah, definitely. I've had incredibly similar experiences in my health coaching and nutrition business as well when I'm working with clients and they set all of these phenomenal goals for themselves. They want to be emotionally happy. They want to live with less depression and anxiety. They want to sleep better. They want their relationships to be better. And sometimes weight loss is a goal. But as we start to work together, we notice that the goals that they're setting, they're never able to accomplish. And for a variety of reasons. And once we start to go back in and talk about what's going on in your life that you feel like you can't necessarily accomplish that goal, oftentimes it's, well, I can't stick to anything. I just get stressed out and I can't stick with it. Or I eat too much, or I'm addicted to sugar. And it's never the physical manifestation that is the problem. It's the intention and it's the motivation behind, quote unquote, falling off the wagon, right? Like what's going on mentally and what's going on emotionally in your life that you're running into a barrier in accomplishing those goals. And it's interesting because once I try and dig into those issues and really get people to go to the source and be like, what's your stress level like? What's your anxiety like? Do you feel supported by your family and your friends? Are you in a relationship that's supportive and you can communicate freely? And if any of those issues are present, there's always a barrier where people don't want to open up and talk about those things. And so I think that that's kind of part of what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one really big thing that everybody tends to focus on is restriction. And one thing I know as a health coach working with women with eating disorders, whenever we have a source of restriction, that becomes this mechanism for constantly sabotaging yourself, whether it's binging on healthy foods or unhealthy foods or just not eating enough to fuel your body. Everything becomes about what rules you've made, and that really affects your mental health. Because if your foundation of health is based on restriction, you're never going to actually be able to thrive, because our lives aren't the same every single day. Like, we can't live in a world of restriction. It's just not sustainable. So having this foundation where your mental health can really, thrive in whatever environment you're in, that's really important to happiness, and making maintainable lifestyle choices that heal disease, that prevent disease. It all needs to be based on this different idea of what can you add to your life instead of what can you restrict from it.
Yeah, wow. I just want to say, that was so cool what you said, Bree, about it's true how these women and people in general think that restriction is the answer. And I have a lot of clients too who think that something is wrong with them.
Yeah.
They aren't being successful with their diet. And it's just this whole self-sabotage situation. And I just want to say, there is so nothing wrong with you if your diet isn't working. This is your body being very on point and very smart about what's going to be going on hormonally when you're in a famine or something, is that it's basically setting you up to binge.
Yeah.
And people are so concerned that I'm such a failure, why can't I do this? And yeah, so we're all really on the team of throw the wagon out the window. I know you taught me that. It's there's no diet, listen, feeling free and allowing ourselves to have these binges. Honestly, sometimes overeating, it's necessary. Undereating, sometimes it happens. Sometimes all the food is gone and oh well, it's okay. It's so normal to allow ourselves to have dessert and be free and find that just balance. And after a period of restriction for so long, I really invite my clients to do what they need to do to really allow themselves to be free and prove to them, to their bodies, that it is okay to eat these bad foods. And over time gaining trust and saying, wow, I'm actually still beautiful, I'm actually fine, all of these thoughts that we have around our self-image and our self-worth based on what we're eating, just throwing that out the window and just feeling free. Yeah, it's so important for our health, and definitely feel that emotional piece before we dive into what other physical symptoms are going on, so that we can come at it from a much better angle.
Yeah, I think that if we are someone that would identify as an emotional eater, and I think that every human being on the planet is an emotional eater, whether that's cake on your birthday or you're having some Ben and Jerry's after a breakup, every human being on the planet emotionally eats. But I think that if we have an emotional relationship with food that actually tends to lean towards guilt and shame, that's when it becomes hard to actually follow a therapeutic diet to heal some type of physical or biological ailment that you might have. So for example, let's say that you have IBS and you have specific foods that you know trigger symptoms of discomfort inside your body. And you want to eat something that you know is going to upset you. Someone who doesn't identify as being an emotional eater or a binge eater might be like, I'm going to eat this food and I'm probably going to pay for it later, but it's going to taste good, period, metaphorical period, end of story. But if you have someone that has an emotional relationship with food that you haven't healed that emotional relationship with, like if you've identified as a dieter, a binge eater, disordered eater, eating disorder, you're going to look at that food and you're going to really want it, and you're going to tell yourself that you shouldn't have it and it's really bad for you, and then you're probably going to eat it, potentially overconsume it, and instead of being able to put a period at the end of it, you're going to have guilt and shame. Like you're going to have this internal dialogue of like, you're this horrible person, why did you do that, how come you can't control yourself, I'm never going to eat that food again. And it's like the cycle continues.
all the lies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so healing that emotional component, like really working through the process of removing that guilt and shame, is going to more powerfully set you up to deal with the physical ailments that might require you to follow a therapeutic diet, that might require you to not eat certain foods so you don't trigger the symptoms. But if you have an overly emotional relationship with food, it's hard to just tell yourself, I'm never going to eat these foods again, I'm going to heal my relationship from a physical, biological standpoint. You have to address the emotional component so that you're more powerfully set up for the physical and biological component.
So spot on. That just reminded me of the term cognitive dietary restraint, or CDR. And it makes me think of this story. So say there's two twins going to a party. One of them is like they look exactly the same. One of them is like insecure about her body image and wants to lose weight. And the other one is just like free flowing, whatever. So the one who wants to lose weight, they both enter the party. There's a plate of cookies. The one who wants to lose weight is like, oh my God, I'm not going to eat a cookie. Okay, like there's cookies there, but I'm not going to eat one. The whole time she's all up in her head and is freaking out. So she has high cognitive dietary restraint. The other twin, they look exactly the same. They're both gorgeous. The other one walks in, has a cookie, and is like, cool, cookies, amazing. And like has a really great time, stops thinking about it, isn't even having a care in the world. Which one do you think is healthier or is going to be a normal, healthy weight long term?
The one without the low CDR?
Yeah, the one with the low CDR is going to be the one that's healthier long term, because she's not setting herself up for a binge. She's not like,
restricting, even healthier, but also just like happier, right? And like more present, because when you have that like don't eat these things, you're so up in your head, and it actually like takes you right out of your life. Like it prevents you from being as present in your life, because you're so consumed with like making sure you don't eat those things.
So the way to like handle that client, the one is really just helping her with her own body image. And that's what it stems from. And you don't necessarily have to be under the umbrella of having an eating disorder. I know my like whole high school, college career, I've never been diagnosed with any kind of disordered eating anything, but I certainly would put grapes and lettuce on my plate and think I was the healthiest girl, like over exercising and just thinking that was healthy. And just like actively restricting, because diet culture is so prominent. And and yeah, I can definitely relate to this idea of like not eating the brownies and then eating the whole pan and then like,
oh my God, yeah.
Just eating, it's just kind of like, of course, like it's very normalized. So I really want to make it clear to people watching this too, that like, if you are having these like, it's taking up your brain space, even if you haven't been technically diagnosed with an eating disorder, it's like, it's really unhealthy long term. And it's been so wonderful. I'm actually dating this guy who has like never, like he doesn't have a care. He's not like, I'm vegan and he's like not even vegan or anything. And it's so refreshing. Like I've been so up in my head about food and stuff, but it's really awesome to just like see what it's like to be with somebody who just like doesn't think about it at all. Like we should just be free. Like sure, I guess to an extent, if you're really like not educated at all and you're just going to McDonald's every day kind of a thing, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Bree, do you want to share, or Katie, do you want to share a little bit more about your story, just to kind of give some concrete examples of how you can heal the emotional first and then work on improving the way that you nourish yourself? And then maybe each of us could share a little bit of our own story.
Totally. And I'm sure you can relate to this actually, in that like I wasn't getting a menstrual cycle. I didn't have a normal menstrual cycle honestly for like 8 years. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. And like, lo and behold, I wasn't eating enough. I was underweight and I was exercising too much. And I still was never diagnosed with an eating disorder. But, and like thinking that like just gaining weight and forcing myself to like eat more food was going to help, like, heck no. Yeah. Like I really needed to dive in to, okay, like the over exercising, like the exercise addiction and this like controlling my food was really more of an emotional thing. Like I was really, my identity was tied to being really skinny and being really healthy. And I needed to like break that down and like, and really truly practice self-love and like allow myself to look in the mirror and like exercise less and just like be really okay with gaining weight. And it wasn't until like, and this is all a journey too, like I by no means am I perfect. I'm like, I'm so beautiful all the time. Like sometimes I do have these thoughts of like, oh my gosh, my cheerleader, like tiny body. Like, so yeah, it's been a journey for me, but I'm so in a place right now where I feel so grateful for my health and like my body can do so much. And I honestly feel like I look really good, you know, like it's been,
you do.
Thank you. It's just funny how like, I think a lot of women can probably relate to comparing themselves from their like high school bodies or whatever, and trying to, well, you know what triggers me is trying new clothes on. Like I recently bought like a size large shirt or like, and I used to think that I would never be like not an extra small or something like that. So like clothes shopping and like really having this practice of like, oh my gosh, like I really am so like, we're all so beautiful and we're all so special and unique and like, yeah, healing that emotional wound of feeling not good enough is what allowed me to feel and be more healthy. So I really think that, yeah, definitely, or else I would just end up binging and like going crazy and just like feeling like, yeah, just always feeling like I'm not good enough. So it's been more of an emotional healing for me. And then I've been able to get my menstrual cycle back and the physical thing followed. So that's my story. Yeah.
Yeah, girl.
Your story.
Whose story? My story?
Yeah, go ahead. Go for it.
Yeah, I relate to so much of that. And I just kind of tracing everything back because I've struggled with my health in various ways for the past probably 4 or 5 years, whether it was severe digestive problems or severe depression, or, you know, I had a bout of Epstein-Barr virus that wiped me out for most of the time I was doing my master's program, and then like hypothyroidism issues. So it's been a journey with food. And the one thing I can say is from the very beginning, when I started paying attention to food in college, it wasn't to nourish myself. It was a tool to get the type of body that I thought was impressive or worthy of respect. I relate to Katie so much because I was the crazy person that was out in the middle of a snowstorm, running my ass off, trying to lose weight while on a severe calorie deficit, just trying to get this body that I thought was worthy of respect. And just trying to get that fitness model look. And ultimately it completely wrecked my metabolism, completely wrecked my self-esteem. And from that point on, I used food as a tool. It wasn't as a form of nourishment. And, you know, over the years, I tried all these different diets in the name of health, trying to cure whatever I was dealing with. So I would go from one extreme to the other, and what it did was just completely mess up the balance of my body. So like hormones and sleep and mood and my relationships suffered. One of my biggest regrets as, you know, being beyond the realm of depression is when I was in the thick of my depression being in college, all of my closest relationships suffered. and they had to be the strong ones for me. And they had to be the ones that took me to the hospital when I had an emotional breakdown and thought that I was going to commit suicide. So it's just, you know, it really does completely destroy so many aspects of your life when you can't address your own emotional needs, and instead you like superficially put this importance onto exercise or onto food as the thing that's going to make you happy. And it really comes down to establishing an incredibly strong sense of self-worth based on the fact that you are a beautiful human being that deserves dignity and respect and honor and love. And you have to have that for yourself first. Like, you have to be solid in the fact that you are loved regardless of what you do. You are honored and you are worthy of respect regardless of what you do. You are not good or bad. You are perfect just the way you are. And until I started to really believe that within myself, I continued to struggle with food. And, you know, if I'm being honest, it's still part of my daily practice. I still have to work on that every single day. And some days I'm better at it than others. Some days get me. Like I say, today got me. That's what I told my boyfriend. I say, you know what? Today got me. I wasn't able to get myself out of that hole today, you know? Like, sometimes you're just tired and you're stressed out and life is just throwing you all kinds of curveballs. And sometimes the day gets you, but your job to yourself and your duty to yourself is to realize that it's worth the work. It's worth the practice. And like I said, I'm not perfect at it. Every day I have to wake up and set the intention that I'm going to be present to those emotions and those thoughts, and I'm going to do what I can that's in my power to help other people to overcome that. And it's funny because in helping other people, it really helps that message sink into myself. So it's kind of like a beautiful continuous process of helping other people, and then they help you by allowing them that communication and that relationship. So I connect with what Katie said so much, and I'm sure what you have to say, Bree. I'm sure we're all going to connect with each other in some way, shape, or form.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I think bringing that whole like depression thing into it, like we don't realize how much emphasis we put on our food. Like, we have such unique and, you know, powerful stories. Like, we all do, every single one of us. And we eat every single day, multiple times a day. Like, food is so easily like messed up. And if it's messed up for you, like, hey, you're not the only one. Like, we all can easily struggle with that. And a lot of the times it happens based on things that were done like really early on in our life. I know for me, my parents were divorced and it was so messy, and there's two different parenting styles. My mom was really healthy. My grandma was like a hippie before the hippies were even a thing. And she basically just, you know, all natural food, organic food. I grew up organic baby food. And my dad, it took me to McDonald's. Like, I learned from a very young age the healthy and unhealthy labels, and that led me to restriction and binging. I remember sitting at my dad's breakfast island and eating 3 bowls of Lucky Charms with whole milk because my mom only had like not sugary cereal and like boring watery skim milk, you know? So it was like a big deal. Food and sugar especially became this really big deal. And I was trying to order healthy. I was trying to order salads at McDonald's at like 11 years old because I knew this was better for me, but I learned this behavior. And I emotionally tied my worth to my food. And I couldn't unlearn that. And then as I saw my body being different from my stepsisters who were naturally thin, naturally like no body fat, perfect body, you know, compared to me, I had like a belly. I was always insecure. And, you know, my mom always would tell me, you know, I would cry in the dressing rooms. I would just be like, I hate my body. I can't do it. You know, being compared when you're almost the same age as somebody with a very different body and you're young and you're trying to impress boys and you're like, I just don't feel beautiful. You carry that weight with you as you become older. So for me, it's really been about teaching women to take or men even, the honest awareness of what is actually happening. What are you bringing from your past into your future, into your present, and saying, like, why is this happening? What do I feel this way? And talking about it and getting support for it, because like once I learned like that's why I was so messed up with food, I was like, oh my God, I can take this blame off of myself and like leave it behind. I don't have to keep carrying it with me every single day. And that honest awareness, like that's what I call it. It's an honest awareness of who you are and why things happen, really changed my life. Because I mean, it didn't start happening until very recently, because I struggled with a couple health issues. I had IBS and I had to, avoid certain foods. I learned that, and that got me away from binge eating and around middle school and college and stuff. From that whole time, I decided, I'm going to start eating healthier. I stopped binge eating and I fell into orthorexia, which is this just obsession with eating healthy foods. And that made the binge eating go away. But after I finally got down to like my lowest weight, it was like my body couldn't take it anymore. And I fell into the cycle of restriction and binge eating. And that's where I learned the honest awareness thing, where I had to say, okay, how do I get out of this mess? And I realized everything in the past that happened, learned about myself, got the support I needed. And that's why one of my major things that I always tell everyone is you can't have a healthy relationship with food without a lifestyle that supports that relationship. Mm-hmm. So I bring that honest awareness and I create that relationship with food that I want by taking a ton of different actions in my life now. Mm-hmm. And we can talk more about that stuff later, but that's my story.
Yay. Snaps.
Yay. Bree, just so you don't know why we're snapping, we've all gone to the same retreat with the same life coach, and instead of clapping after ladies speak, we snap.
That's so cute.
Oh no. Okay, we have 10 more minutes before they kick us off.
Okay, what's your story?
Okay. Gosh, so I grew up in like the same world that we all grew up in, and like was shown the same messages that we were all shown about like what type of body we needed to have to gain respect, to be valuable, to be beautiful. And I had never heard a conversation about food that wasn't like also about losing weight and like avoid these foods for a flat tummy, or like this diet will like make you the bikini girl like flashing across the screen. And so like I had never thought of food. Like once I became cognizant of like my body and like I was old enough to have thoughts about food, that's like all I could think about was like food was literally just a mechanism to manipulate your body size. And that led to dieting, and then dieting led to an eating disorder. And the skinnier I got, the more praise I got. So the bad behavior, like the unhealthy behaviors were totally like reinforced. It was like, oh, I'm losing weight, I'm looking good. Mm-hmm. Like so many people in my life were just like, your body's amazing. Meanwhile, I'm like starving myself. And then if I would eat, I would throw up. It was just like this really, and I was obviously obsessed with food. Like the first thought I had when I woke up and the first thought I had when I went to bed was like, should I eat? What did I eat? How much am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? Like it was just all consuming, and it like really took the joy out of my life. And I was really not present in like school and not present in my relationships. And like I played sports because I like to play sports, but I was also like, I need to play sports so I can be active, so I can like lose weight. And like, it was just this like binge restrict cycle. And it wasn't until like my early 20s where I finally was like, okay, I want freedom from this. I can't live like this anymore. Like this is so painful. I got to the point where like, I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I don't care if I gain weight. I want peace of mind and I want to be free. And what really helped get me onto that path was just what Katie had said, and what Tristan, what you guys have said, was just being like, I really want to work on self-love, because hating myself and thinking that I have something wrong with me, that like my self-worth is very much tied to my size. Like that belief was making life really not fun at all. Like it just made everything suck, for a lack of a more sophisticated explanation. So I just was like, I want to start loving myself. I'm worthy of my own love. And that was the conversation that I said to myself all the time back in my 20s when I like entered into recovery. Was like, I'm worthy of my own love. I'm worthy of my own love. And like self-love was just like the name of the freaking game. And like it took a long time to recover and like no longer control my food, or no longer, binge and purge. Like it definitely did not happen overnight, but like it was just like the best decision I ever made. And now food's like really fun. And, it's
so much better.
Yeah. And like, eating is just like one of my favorite things to do. And there's no guilt wrapped up in it, and there's no shame wrapped up in it. And like, it's just like a powerful form of self-expression now in my relationship with food. And, yeah, I just know the pain of like constantly feeling like you have to control your body size. And it's because I'm so present to how painful it is why I do what I do now, helping women break free from it and like helping them learn to accept their body. And eventually later comes love. Acceptance comes first, love comes second. Yeah, I just don't want women to stay stuck in that pain any longer. And so that's why I do what I do. I dream of a world where women are no longer obsessed with their body size, and like what would be freaking possible if we stopped spending so much time and money and energy on like losing weight, and we actually spent it on like doing something else in the world, because like there's nothing wrong with our bodies. Can we really just focus on creating an amazing life and creating an amazing life?
Yes.
It's lifetimes of people. Like people struggle their entire life. Like if we could just fix this issue, they could do an entire lifetime of good.
Yeah. I mean, life has its own challenges, and life has enough struggle in it built into the experience of being a human. You don't need to torture yourself and make your life miserable by your own choosing. You know, like, yes, we are influenced by these things, but women are powerful beyond measure. And I am realizing this more and more and more, especially in 2017, 2018. I mean, just look at the change that women have created. If we could be free from all these constraints, like the world needs more of our energy and our love and our truth. Like the world just needs more powerful women in it. And exactly what you said, if women could not struggle with this, and if they could break free from this, I think we would be powerless and just unlimited, and the world would transform for the better.
Hell yeah. Yeah. If we give up our weight loss goals and just like focus on goals that actually really light us up, let our heartstrings, and like that are filled with passion. Like if we could drop the weight loss goals and just focus on like truly what our life is about, because it's not having the perfect body. That world to me is like
beautiful.
You know, I love it. Amazing. So we have like 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
Maybe we should share like our top tip for how to get started on this journey.
Ooh. Okay.
Love it.
What's on your brain?
Yeah.
1 minute, go.
Okay. I think just based on my own personal experience and what I've learned from observing others is you have to be willing to spend time with your thoughts and your emotions. And that means giving yourself literal time to sit with yourself and be quiet and just listen and reflect and observe what comes up. If that's a journal for you, if that's meditation, if that's leaving your house and going someplace quiet, whatever it is, you need to be comfortable spending more time with yourself and being vulnerable with yourself, because we will tell ourselves lies and put up barriers within our own hearts and our own minds to protect ourselves. But if you really want to heal your relationship with food and come from a place of self-love and acceptance, you have to be willing to spend more time with yourself.
Love it. Okay, I have one really quick. You have to be able to overcome that fear of gaining weight. That will be the biggest, number one fear that will hold you back from doing all of this, is that fear of gaining weight, that fear of your body changing, becoming less beautiful, whatever fear that is tied to. Figure out where that's coming from, prove it wrong, get support in it if you need to, surround yourself with people who will help you break that fear, talk about it, do what Cara says, which she always says, bring the inner dialogue out. I don't remember how you say it, but take that monologue. Turn it into dialogue. Yes. So talk about it, get help, get support, and overcome that fear of gaining weight, because that will hold you back.
Yeah. So turn the monologue into a dialogue. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that.
Number one tip. Yeah. Be okay with not knowing what's going to happen. Like, because you spend so much time trying to control the future and make things go the way you want to go. I would say you got to just like step outside of your comfort zone. You have to be okay with not knowing what's going to happen through the journey. You have to commit to doing whatever it takes to heal. And that means not knowing what's going to happen with your weight gain, with your weight loss. It means not knowing what your food is necessarily going to look like. So it's just moving past that discomfort.
And lastly, I'm going to say unfollow all of the fitness models,
Yes. Oh my God.
Please, like, look at some people who are feeling beautiful in their sexy, curvy bodies. And honestly, like, if I were to have a daughter someday, I want her to know that she is absolutely beautiful exactly the way she is, no matter what. And I want to embody that. I want my friends to embody that. So I want to live that way. You live that way too. If you relate to this at all, reach out to us. We'll leave our links to each other and our Instagrams down below. My name is Katie Reines at vitamin.katie. We all have our links. And yeah, share this video. Like, give this video a thumbs up. This video, I really hope it helps a lot of people out there. And yeah, it's up to you to really take control of how you're feeling and take responsibility for your mental health, for your physical health, and for the health of this planet. Shine your light on the world.
Go women!
Have a beautiful, incredible, beautiful life in your incredible body. Okay.
Bye.